Well, hello again, and welcome to episode 7 in a series that's exploring the Minecraft server world called HurleyAllCraft. In this episode, we're going to be heading out to a city in the northeast that's called New Averil City. And this was a city built from scratch by myself and my wife. Before heading out there, I wanted to kind of go over on the map exactly where the city is so you can see what route we're going to be taking. This is a tool I used in the previous episode also that's called Minotaur. And it's one of the few mapping tools I've found that will actually handle very large Minecraft worlds. It might not be the slickest UI, but the fact that it will load and do a good job at creating the map of the whole world is a great bonus. You may still be able to find it. The last time I checked, I didn't see the link for it anymore on the Minecraft wiki, but it might still be available. I also don't know whether or not they're supporting the latest versions of Minecraft. Again, I'm still running version 1.5 out of general refusal to upgrade since I don't like the downloads from AWS and the deletion of the graphics files that are occurring in 1.6 and later. Any rate, we're going to start our journey from Brent Station here, and that's just to the west of the spawn point Temple of Crafting, the typical place where you'll enter the world. From Brent Station, we're going to head up here to Turek Station, and then just like in the previous episode, we're going to head out here to the northeast from Turek Station to Minston Station, from Minston Station again to the northeast up here to Forest Station. Now, in the previous episode, we had stopped and taken a brief look at this NPC city here. In this case, we're just going to continue on from Forest Station, due east here, out to Hume. And Hume is right outside of our target, which is New Averil City. So without further ado here, let me log into my Minecraft server and we will get underway. Now I'm going to start this particular episode from inside of Brent Station, so we don't have to go through the typical track past the Temple of Crafting, which would be over there, and deal with the lag. Again, we're going to Turek Station first, so we've got the lever flipped the correct way, and out we go. Guess while we're traveling here, probably mentioned it too many times already in previous episodes, but all rail lines in the world are lit, so these are safe to travel day or night. They're all elevated, so even mobs that are spawning down, anywhere else in the world that happens to not be lit can't get on the rail lines. There's no ladders or anything to actually crawl up on them. That was, again, by design to keep mobs off of them. And then since they are lit, mobs can't generate on the rail lines themselves. Okay, we're going to head to Minston Station now. And since this particular trip is happening in the daytime, unlike the previous episode, hopefully you'll get a little bit better perspective on some of the features that we're passing on the way up there. There's kind of a pretty rock formation coming up, if this thing will render fast enough for you to see it. Right here. That I've always thought was interesting. It's kind of like just a vertical cliff. Even though it's got coal and I think it's got some iron and stuff in it, we've left it alone just because it was relatively pretty to look at. No sense in beating it apart. You will see some things as we go through episodes and get further and further away from the spawn point in our journeys, where we will run across ruins. Like there's one I'd pointed out back here, showed in the previous episode. There's also the larger ruins available too. And there'll be a couple of rail lines that actually go over or very near some of those that we'll be riding. Should have Minston Station coming into view. As you can see, we didn't hang on the rail line that time. Next stop is Forret Station. So here we go. And now I do want to mention that the number of rail lines in this world is extensive. So even though I'm doing a whole series of episodes showing different things, we're not going to come anywhere near riding all the rail lines. So there's still plenty left to explore in this world. As you've noticed, the further you get away from the origin point, the longer these rail lines get too. The long rail lines we did once this was creative mode server. Then you can fly. It's a lot easier to place rail lines. You don't have to balance yourself on the tip end of it and try not to fall off. And then, of course, you've got unlimited material to build with. The first few rail lines I did between the Hurley residence and Brent Station, and between Brent Station and Turek Station, all that stuff had to be mined out. I showed the quarry in episode 3 where I actually had to go dig the stone out for those things, and then I had to basically stand at the end of the rail line and try and look over the edge till you can see enough to place a block, one block at a time. Okay, so Hume Station. Currently that's the only place to go for Forret Station. You'll see that the other end of the track has been dummied up for possible future expansion. If you ride out there, there's just a switch that you can hit to ride back into the station. So here we go. It'll probably be nighttime. Yeah, well, for sure it'll be nighttime. It takes about a full Minecraft day to make the journey from the spawn point all the way out to New Averil City. So a fair distance. It'll probably be half of this episode just trying to get out there to go see it. And then, as I had mentioned in episode 1, this world is approximately 6 kilometers across. This particular journey is maybe 3 kilometers, so about halfway. Let's see here. You can go from the origin point out, I believe, 4 kilometers to the west. So this is maybe 3 kilometers, 2 to 3 kilometers east of the spawn point. Now, probably longer distance because I've got these winding railroad tracks. I have no idea by the track exactly how far we're going to go. But it's a fair distance to travel. I'll have to remember that. Now, I've explicitly designed the tunnels to try and keep mobs off the rail line. You can see the fence at the top of that last tunnel. And every so often, we'll still find a creative mob that manages to get itself onto the track. Thankfully, it didn't actually derail or stop us that time. Unfortunately, the land area is not loading fast enough to really get a good perspective view. Happens. And then, of course, we're at night, so you can't really see a whole lot anyway. There's kind of a extreme hills biome that we're heading through here before we actually get into the city. Okay, and here we are at Hume Station. So, as I mentioned in the previous episode, it's always a courtesy to take your mine carts off the mine track. If you don't and somebody comes in, they will hit your mine cart and either go back out the same way they came in, or if they happen to be coming in this way and it flipped the track on entrance, they'll hit your cart, bounce off, and totally skip the station. They'll be heading off their own way, and it's quite obnoxious to deal with. Okay, so we built this walkway to kind of get out there in case it was dark. You could still encounter some mobs in survival mode right here where you get out of the station, so it's not completely safe to do this one at night. But the walkway here shouldn't generate any mobs. And then, obviously, as we get close to it, this is a completely fabricated city. There was nothing out here when we originally found the place. It was just kind of an island, and it just happened to have enough feature there for us to build on. It wasn't too hilly, so it wasn't a whole lot to have to flatten out to put houses in. We've got a retaining wall. This is before I head in. We've got a dock. Looks like the boats are mostly behaving. So as you'll notice, there's a counter current to keep the boat snugged up against the dock here. If you get in one and go around it, and as long as you get close to the entrance, it'll snug itself back in. We've kind of gone back and forth between removing boats. As you can see, I didn't even touch that one, and out it goes. Sometimes you just have to walk past them. Not the greatest thing. Okay, so let's go into the city. So New Averil City, as you can see the sign there says... The city gates are actual fence gates, and this is to keep the NPCs in the city. We had started off with doors here, and the problem was the NPCs would leave the city and then find themselves trapped out in some corner around the wall and be massacred when night fell. So by doing that, we've kind of keep everybody inside. As you can see, we've got a thriving population, so you can see the iron golem here walking around. If you want to go inside the retaining wall, you can do that. So it is hollow all the way around and lit. You can peek out various little barred windows in it. I'm not going to run all the way around. It's not particularly interesting. Let's see. There's one. You can get up on top of the protective wall as well. And you can see out. Again, if you want to walk around the entire city, the whole thing is lit, so the city is safe to be out in at night, unlike a lot of the NPC villages, which are not only poorly lit, but have no retaining wall to keep mobs out. All the houses in this city are fully furnished, so you can come in. They're all done a little bit differently. Some of them have artwork in it, and tables, and various bedrooms. A few of the buildings are stock Minecraft-style buildings like churches and blacksmith shops, but a lot of the houses are just custom-made houses. So there's actually a lot to visit and see here. Just to keep this video from getting too long, I'm not going to go into all of the buildings and houses. I'll leave that for you to explore in your own copy of this world. But I will point out some of the maybe more important buildings here. Again, just a different take on a large home. In this case, it's a 2-story home with bedrooms upstairs. Now, this was the first city that we actually tried to build completely on our own. So some of the models that we used in here are rough cut, in particular the inn, which I'll get to in a minute. Here's one of the more stock Minecraft buildings, the blacksmith shop. And as you'll see, we actually did look to see how the blacksmith shop was supposed to be built and try to replicate it here. In this case, we were faithful to the actual anvil. We didn't put a real anvil in. These double buildings here were supposed to be kind of like apartment buildings. And all the NPCs have shut themselves up for the evening, but as you can see, there's some that are hiding in here. There's actually a thriving population of NPCs in this place. I believe we have 2 iron golems, and those were supposed to be for a city of 30 apiece, I think. So you can see some hiding in here with the animals. This particular building right here was our first attempt at an inn. There's one here, there's also one further down the way that we'll look at. So the inn has one side here that was for livestock, mainly for things like fresh milk and chickens, eggs. And there should be an entrance into the main part over here that we actually just went in just a minute ago. This would be kind of like the main check-in area where you've got your desk. There's some sitting quarters here. And then where you would stay in the inn is upstairs. And we have individual rooms that you can just pick one and stay for the night if you happen to be wanting to venture out from the city, or just rest and then finish exploring the city in the morning. So this, like I said, is the second of 2 inns. The other inn is down here to the south end of the city. You head down that way. A church, again, built in the typical Minecraft style. So if you've ever seen an NPC church, this would be the same layout, same everything, except it's lit. It's got some glowstone in it to try and keep it brighter than the stock Minecraft. Gonna find my way over to it here. Yeah. This right here was the original inn. As you can tell, it's different than the first one that we looked at. So coming in here, there is the livestock area again, and then into the main part of the inn. In this case, the main entrance door, if you just want to come in that way, is, if I get this NPC to move out of the way, was up here. So on the side street. So again, your office area, and then back up and head up the stairs. And then rooms that are available to use, again, upstairs. With bed, crafting bench, ender chest, and furnace. Okay. I'll leave the rest of the buildings here for you to explore. As you can see, there's a lot of them. There's our 2 golems. So there should be somewhere around 60 people in this particular city. They've spawned like crazy since we put them in there. And I'll go ahead and fly and give you a bird's eye view of the city itself here. Roofs are lit, so nothing should generate on a roof and fall down. The whole area around the perimeter is lit. So not the biggest city. It certainly wouldn't be considered any kind of mega build. But it's a pretty little city to come and visit. It's got some lighthouses here on the edge. And then I don't remember how many buildings that we ended up putting in. It's well over 10. So a nice aerial view of the city. Then I will mention one more thing in passing here before we close out the episode. There's kind of a pseudo secret here. It's not I wouldn't consider it as big as some of the other secrets. But again, as in many places in Minecraft, there were caves in the area. And so if you still want to access some of the original cave network, if you come down here, there is actually a basement, and this will open. If I can get the thing to open. Alright, brute force time. Here is the cave. So for those that are adventurous, that again, they want to come down and explore the cave, mine the cave, come up at night, spend time in the inn, all the accommodations are available. I'll fix this. Okay, well, that concludes what I wanted to show in this episode. So again, if this is a world that you would like to play, it is freely available and can be downloaded from minecraftworldmap.com, and the world name is HurleyAllCraft. See you in a future episode.